You hear it first, the wind rattling the shutters of Tidal Manor like impatient knuckles on a forgotten door. Rain drums the slate roof in quickening pulses, and somewhere below, waves pound the cliff face, each crash announcing that the sea is in no mood for mercy. You arrived only an hour ago, suitcase still damp, convinced this was to be a quiet weekend escape. Yet in this moment, listening to the elements argue with stone and timber, you sense that tranquility has already fled the premises. You move toward the great room where the fireplace flickers, throwing jumpy shadows across oil portraits of stern ancestors. 8 other guests cluster near the hearth, all strangers to you, yet united by the promise of seaside relaxation offered by your hostess, Lady Celeste Caldwell. She glides in then, slim and elegant, a glass of mulled wine cradled in her gloved hand. Her voice, soft as velvet, rises above the storm as she welcomes you by name. You study her briefly, eyes quick, smile enigmatic, posture that wavers between regal and restless. Before you can reply, lightning snaps outside, and the chandelier trembles overhead like a nervous crystal creature. Celeste raises her glass in a delicate toast. The scent of cloves and citrus drifts to you, warm and oddly comforting. She sips, a smile forming, then stops mid-breath, a puzzled hand brushing her throat. Glass slips from her fingers. It strikes the rug with the softest thud, not quite shattering, almost respectful. Celeste collapses in a silken rustle, eyes wide with silent questions. In that suspended breath before panic erupts, you, a vacationing detective known for solving riddles no one else will touch, realize she has been poisoned. The manor doors are bolted against the gale. The phone lines crackle uselessly. Rescue will not come until the storm calms at dawn. That leaves you and 8 eclectic souls, each wearing surprise like an ill-fitting mask, trapped under one roof with a murderer. You inhale slowly, tasting the acrid scent of panic. Then you do what you always do. You begin. A log pops in the fire, and the room's attention pins itself to you. You speak evenly, inviting everyone to take a seat. You remind them that fear never solved the puzzle, and you promise them the truth before the tide retreats. Your words seem to settle the air, though thunder still growls outside like a caged animal. You study your fellow guests one by one, letting their quirks imprint themselves on your memory. First is Professor Benedict Hargrove, tweed jacket damp at the shoulders, spectacles smudged by mist, pockets clinking faintly as though carrying a personal apothecary. Beside him sits Mira Lark, a travel photographer whose camera hangs heavy around her neck, the lens cap off as if she expects revelation at any moment. Close by lounges Jasper Quinn, playwright and famed bon vivant, his laughter too quick, too loud, as if he wishes to drown out the sea itself. Across the rug stands Dr. Fiona Vale, quiet neurologist with eyes that catalogue everything. Near her is Lionel Ashburn, a retired sailor whose weathered hands tug at his beard each time thunder rolls. Elodie Finch, glamorous socialite, fans her perfectly painted nails even in this crisis, though you notice the tremor she tries to hide. Then there is Father Gabriel Stone, coat still specked with rain, fingers worrying a tarnished silver cross. Lastly, young Paige Caldwell, the hostess's niece, clutches a notebook to her chest, the corners dog-eared from obsessive use. 9 of you came to this manor. Only 8 remain standing. You ask for the wine glass, careful not to touch the rim. The mulled wine smells of spice and something metallic beneath. You consider Professor Hargrove, remembered whispers of his botanical research, rumours of rare toxins derived from seaside flora, yet you do not leap. Leaping is for the guilty. Instead, you turn to Lionel, the sailor, recalling that the sea teaches patience. You borrow that patience now. You guide everyone to the dining hall, reasoning that order begins with proximity. There you spot the decanter from which Celeste's glass was poured. You tilt it slowly, letting ruby liquid coat the crystal. No sediment, no suspicious glimmer. The poison, then, was likely in the glass itself, not the communal vessel. A delicate strategy, requiring privacy and precision. Who had both? While the guests settle, you roam the manor corridors, senses awake. Rainwater wicks along the window panes, making every corridor feel submerged. You check the kitchen. Spice jars line the shelves. Cinnamon, cardamom, clove. Nothing overtly sinister. A drawer of medicinal bottles catches your eye. Labels faded, corks intact. You memorize their positions. You suspect one will soon be missing. Returning, you find Jasper Quinn recounting a dramatic anecdote about a Paris premiere, his hands carving theatrical shapes in the air. His words amuse the group until he mentions absinthe, then coughs into a handkerchief that blooms green under the lamplight. The colour jolts Dr. Vale, who murmurs about wormwood toxicity. A glance flickers between them. You catch it. You ask each guest for a timeline, speaking gently so they follow willingly. Paige, the niece, admits she left her aunt in the library earlier, accused of begging for an early inheritance. Jasper confesses he visited the cellar to search for inspiration among old vintages, a poetic euphemism for drink. Mira says she was on the balcony photographing lightning. Father Gabriel claims to have been in silent prayer by the chapel window. Lionel patrolled the courtyard, restless on land. Elodie preened in the powder room preparing for an imaginary gala. Professor Hargrove was in the conservatory, studying night-blooming specimens with potent properties. Dr. Vale insists she was alone, reviewing medical notes by the fire. As their stories unfold, a gust forces open a hallway door. Cold, briny air slices across the table. In the draft, a folded note skitters like a startled crab. Paige snatches it, eyes widening. Ink blots shimmer. I alone am guilty. The room gasps. Jasper leaps up, theatrically clutching his chest. He claims the note is his. He confesses to poisoning Celeste to stop her from producing a plagiarized play he once penned. He begs forgiveness, cites artistic integrity, then collapses into a chair, hands shaking. You watch, head tilted. Something rings false. The handwriting is cramped, methodical. You recall Jasper's flamboyant loops in the guest book. This script is not his. In the hush that follows, thunder roars approval. You ask quietly if anyone recognizes the script. Paige speaks so softly that the storm nearly steals her words. She says it resembles her aunt's. Why would Celeste write a confession to her own murder? The riddle spins in the candlelight. You consider the wineglass again. If Celeste handled her own drink, she could have tainted it herself. Did she stage her death? Yet the symptoms, a swift tightening of the throat, collapse within seconds, suggest a contact neurotoxin, one requiring only touch to travel from glass rim to bloodstream. Such substances are rare, but Hargrove's conservatory is rumoured to house them. Still, how would Celeste acquire it? You follow intuition to the conservatory, lantern in hand. The glass ceiling quivers as rain pelts overhead. Moonlight leaks through clouds, illuminating rows of exotic plants. Your breath halos, mixing with the green scent. You spot a broken stem on a tall, waxy-leafed vine. Milky sap beads at the wound. You recall doctoral articles on Tidalix, a plant whose sap becomes lethal when heated with alcohol. A mortar and pestle sit nearby, damp with residue. Someone prepared poison here within the last hour. You return to the great room, gathering everyone yet again. You speak calmly, weaving your words like a net. You say the killer harvested sap, infused it into the rim of Lady Celeste's glass, and trusted the storm to erase footsteps and scent. You describe how they then forged a false confession, hoping the detective, you, would accept Jasper's dramatic surrender as closure. But the killer misjudged handwriting and motive, forgetting that emotion always stains lies. Eyes circle the room. Elodie scoffs, flicking a curl from her brow. Jasper sweats openly. Lionel mutters about devilry. Father Gabriel whispers a prayer. Dr. Vale folds her hands with surgical precision. Mira raises her camera, lens glinting. Hargrove polishes his glasses, buying time. Paige trembles behind her notebook. You ask Mira to recall her balcony photos. She scrolls quickly, then freezes. The screen shows the conservatory window minutes before the poisoning. A figure inside, silhouetted by lantern glow, leans over a table. The outline is unmistakable. Narrow shoulders, high collar, hair pulled into a severe bun. Dr. Fiona Vale inhales sharply as every eye lands on her. She attempts composure, but you note the faint crimson line on her wrist where tidalic sap can cause irritation. You speak gently, aware the storm outside is nothing compared to the one now roaring inside her heart. Why did she do it? Dr. Vale's voice emerges, steady at first, then cracking. Celeste funded her neurological clinic, demanding unethical trials on patients in return. Vale refused, but Celeste threatened to ruin her career. Cornered, Vale chose liberation through poison. She forged the confession to shield herself, assuming blame would fall on the flamboyant playwright, whose ego always dwarfed caution. You listen, understanding motive yet unmoved by method. You inform her the authorities will arrive at dawn. Until then, she will remain under watch, disarmed of every tool she once used to heal. Lionel and Father Gabriel escort her to the study, locking the door, standing guard like sentinels against both weather and conscience. The guests disperse, seeking warmth, seeking sense. You linger by the window as the storm begins to tire, its rage spent against stone. You ponder the fragile boundaries people cross when fear and power collide. Outside, first light teases the horizon, a quiet reminder that even the darkest night ends. You hope your words have stitched understanding where shock ripped holes. Hours later, rescue crews climb the slippery path to the manor. Dr. Vale is taken away, eyes hollow, future uncertain. You watch from the entrance hall. Behind you, the 8 remaining guests whisper promises of new starts, though Tidal Manor will echo with this night for years. You pick up your damp suitcase, touch the scarred banister once more, and step into the cool dawn. The sea is calmer now, its fury spent, its secrets surrendered. You walk down the cliff road, mind already turning the next puzzle over, yet one thought lingers for your companions and for anyone who faces impossible choices. Sometimes the fiercest storms are not the ones outside the window, but the ones we choose to unleash within.